to adapt to the fundamental transformation we saw a year ago. I mean, how would you characterize from Qatar's perspective how the past 12 months have gone? What are you envisioning from your policy perspective, what year two needs to look like? What are your new challenges as we enter into this second year of Syria's transition?
Thank you very much, Charles, and it's good to be in this panel with my distinguished colleagues. A few points to take into consideration when we're discussing the Syrian case. First of all, Qatar has been very firm when it comes to its position in full support of the Syrian people. In 14 years, we haven't changed that position. When we see the others, they were shifting in the political decision, we remain firm, believing strongly that this is the right path for the Syrians to restore their full rights, a country that is sovereign, that is prosperous, and providing an opportunity for the people to live a better life. This is something that is very critical in the top leadership of the country, following up the administrative bodies. And we've been very much engaged since day one of that topic. If you allow me, interesting fact, last year at this forum, in this hotel specifically, we were discussing the Syrian case, following up the movements by the Syrians on the ground. Interesting fact, we spent more than 4 or 5 hours with the group, the Astana group format, as well as regional countries, discussing what is going to be the next step. Is it going to be reasonable now for Bashar al-Assad to lower the bar and start engaging productively? But our friends and our brothers didn't save time, I think, for that operation. Things has moved so quickly. Our policy since day one, never shy out, engage, go and talk to our brothers over there on the ground, stretch our hands of support and help for the Syrian people and the Syrian government. And we've been very consistent, honestly, in terms of that help. We have a highly distinguished institutions, even at the humanitarian level. Qatar Funds for Development, education above all. All of them, they've been outreached over there and they've been engaged in several activities and projects within the Syrian government. I think in terms, if I want to assess the 12 months for Qatar's and Syria partnership, it's never been stronger. We've been so close and we've been very engaged in the different sectors, at the energy sectors, at the financial sectors, even at the international level. We've been very much supporting that Syrian cause because we strongly believe in it. We think this is the right pathway and this is what the Syrian people believes and deserves. And therefore, I think how we see generally Syria, we see it regionally as well. We've seen the developments in the regional countries as well, and that brings, honestly, comfort at the decision makers levels in Doha and in the general wider scope. We've seen the developments in Lebanon, for example, with the election of presidents and the permanent government. We've seen the recent election in Iraq. All of them, that helps us that the movement is on the right pathway when it comes to the political stability. That helps us, but we will always consider ourselves a reliable partners for those regional countries, and we will continue to engage with them.
Thank you. Minister Eide, you, as Foreign Minister of Norway, you were an early visitor to Damascus, and so you've visited and seen things from very early on since Assad's fall. Again, a similar question to you, but obviously from Norway's perspective and the wider European region, which traditionally has looked at Syria with different priorities. So from your perspective, what steps has Norway taken over the past 12 months to engage and to support Syria's transition? And as you look to year two, with all of the challenges that Syria faces, as they pertain to Norway and to wider Europe, what's your assessment today?
Thank you, Charles. So I also vividly remember the Saturday of Doha Forum a year ago, where in the morning panels we were discussing whether ever Assad would go, and in the afternoon panel he had left. So, it was very much being present at a very historic moment. And I was looking back at the statement I made and many of my colleagues made, and found out that they were quite good. We said, this opens up an opportunity. It will not be easy. The new forces, the new government needs our support. We need to give this a chance. We shall not be naive, but we need a process that is Syrian-owned and Syrian-led, and we want an inclusive Syria. And I also argue that if we do not give this opportunity a chance, we will probably be right. I mean, if we assume it will fail, we will help it to fail. If we, however, we assume that it can succeed, we might contribute to the Syrian success, but the success has to be a Syrian success. And I must say, recognizing the long list of challenges that the government still faces, which, and let's not be naive, I think on balance, this year has been well spent. And I have to say, being a frequent critique of the international community, this time we got it right. You know, there was a broad agreement from a surprisingly early stage that we should not leave the new government with inherited sanctions for the failures of a previous government. Well, let them at least do their own failures before we sanction them. And that argument, I went, as you said, early January, when an early visitor came out very strongly, arguing with our American friends, our European friends, we need to do something on these sanctions, and that largely worked. And I think that encouragement was so important, and my early meetings with President al-Shara was very much focused on practical aspects of economy, the need for early recovery, to reap this peace dividend while people still had trust. And I'm proud that we were able to establish links on energy, on health, on the transitional justice, on other key issues, but also increasingly working with the government. And we were early in working with the government directly, and in hindsight, I think we got it right this time.
Yes, absolutely. And Ambassador Barak, just tying on to exactly what Minister Eide was just saying on the question of engagement and sanctions and all of the developments we've seen take place over the last 6 months or so in particular. You know, it's not a secret that there were components of the Trump administration that were probably skeptical of Syria when President Trump first